Hey everyone, Kai here, welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a deep dive into the new battery range from Husqvarna. What's new, what's improved, and why these are built specifically for professional operators who depend on runtime, reliability, and performance every single day. Before we get into the video, let me just run through with you what I have in front of me here so you can get a bit of an idea of what we're going to talk about. So we've got the CX1000 here, which charges 4 of the BLI batteries from Husqvarna at once. We've got the BLI 550X, which is their sort of backpack battery style, the smaller backpack battery style, with a big spider on it. See you, mate. That's the 15.6 amp hour. I run that with the blower mostly. On the front here, we've got the charging rail. This is the C80, so this charges 8 batteries. This is an overnight kind of style charger, so you just come back after a day at work, stick all your batteries on, leave them overnight because it's a bit of a slower charge, and then all ready to go in the morning. And then over here we've got the sort of the carry case, if you like. This holds 6 batteries. So you've got 2 of the larger BLI 300 series, and then you've got the B200 series in the front. So 3 along the front, 3 at the back here. This is great, nice and easy, simple design. Keeps them safe, keeps them protected, keeps them out of direct sunlight. So I use this to sort of transport and carry my batteries throughout the ute, trailers and vans and stuff. And then I just put them all in there at the end of the day, bring them all in, transfer them to that, into either this or the charging rail, depending on what I need. This you can take with you if you need to, so you can make sure if you've got an inverter in the car, a pretty powerful one, you can run this, or you can take it and plug it into people's customer outlets if you need to. But this stays at home. I've got enough batteries to see me through a day, to be honest, so this stays at home. This goes on the wall, and it's a super simple job. You haven't got to be, quite often in the past, before you had these sort of multiple chargers like this, you'd be in and out of the garage all night. You know, it's 40 minutes, one charge, one battery's charged, and then you'd be, have your dinner. Oh yeah, gotta go out and charge the other 6 batteries. So back out, put it on charge, or back and forth. And I'd always forget, so I'd come out in the morning and I'd be like, I forgot to charge the batteries. So this just eradicates all that and makes life a lot easier when you're working with battery tools all the time like we are. So just to give you a bit of a close-up of what we're looking at here, this is the CX1000 times 4. So as you can see, they just slot straight in there, just like they go into the tools. They just push in and that starts charging. You've got your charge indicators on the front here. This is what they do. Great bit of kit. It's all kind of fanned as well. It's sort of, I don't know if it's insulated, but it's actively cooled as they charge, so you haven't got to worry about anything overheating. This one's the meta box as well, so you can stack boxes on top if you need to, and then you can lock them in place, which is a cool design. So you can have a couple of these and you can have them in your van, stack them on top, and they ain't going nowhere. So let's start with what's changed compared to the older BLI batteries on these new generation, the BX ones. So these are, let's get the B330X and the BLI 300 as a comparison. So the biggest differences I'll run over with you now with these newer, this is the B330X. Fantastic bit of kit this is. Really impressed with this battery. So this has the latest and greatest lithium cells in it now. So you get higher output, longer runtime, and just overall a much better performing battery in the same size footprint. So it's got a completely updated rubberized casing as well, which is a vast improvement over the older style batteries. Not that there was anything wrong with these, but this is definitely the next level. They've also got these much more improved release clips, which some of you may have noticed over the years, that these ones here, I had a couple of these break on me, and they also can get a bit awkward to get in and out of the tools for some reason. They just, I don't know what it is, but they just end up not working as good as they could. Husqvarna recognise that, and they've updated them with these new ones, and they're orange, which looks super cool. But these work great. They're so much better. They just clip in and clip out, no dramas, and they feel just way more robust and beefed up, which is the whole kind of package with this battery. Rubberized on the front, rubberized throughout, in fact, on the edges, and just a tougher feeling battery altogether. Another super cool point to make about these newer batteries, both on the 300 series and the 200, is they now have this thing called ActiveCool, which allows the battery to actively monitor the temperatures, I guess, and cool the battery when it's in use and when it's charging. It's sort of like a fan that constantly moves through the battery. This is updated. This is not the same as the old system, so that's super impressive. And that generally I find leads to a better performing overall battery with run times and the charging capacities, or not the capacities, but the efficiency of the charging. So another great point to make about these batteries is they now have the Bluetooth actually built into them, so you can connect to the Husqvarna Fleet Services app and you can monitor all the details about these batteries from within the app, which is great. Where they are, run times, cycle times, all that good stuff, which is super cool. See the Bluetooth symbol? So that allows you to connect to the Fleet Services app, all built into the battery, which is awesome. You don't need to have anything extra on the tools. It's there, ready to go. And you'll notice on these as well, you get a much clearer battery indicator, along with, if you can see here, you can't really see it on, if you like, but that's a lot of different symbols there to tell you whether the battery's okay, it's too hot, it's too cold. It's got all the information built in, so you can see it right there. And just while we're talking about that, the only one you had on the old style batteries was this little orange triangle, which you used to get sometimes if the battery overheated for me here in Australia. It never gets too cold here for it. So now you have a much more informative panel there with sort of 4 or 5 different symbols there to give you all the information you could ever need. In terms of longevity, the replacement time frame is still based on the charge cycles, but with the upgraded casing and overall durability, commercial users can expect way less wear and tear over the life of the battery. So as you can see here, the batteries just slide in, super simple, and slide out. It's all done on gravity. You don't need to use the clips, they just go in and go out. So then once they're in the charging, if you imagine it's up on the wall, it's gravity just holds them in, sort of thing. And they all charge up together overnight. I think it goes 1 in a row. All right, next up, let's talk about performance and runtime. So one of the biggest things I noticed with these newer style batteries is that they have a consistent output all the way through the use. So, if you're on the hedger, they'll give you full hedging power till the very, very last drop, and then it will drop off slightly, then it's time to replace the battery. So you get full power all the way through to the very end, which is not like some batteries. Some other manufacturers taper off a fair bit towards the end. They just get consistently slower and slower, whereas these give you the full power till the very last bit, then they drop off and you're like, oh yeah, got to change the battery. That's mostly in part to the 36 volt design of these batteries. It's almost like having 2 batteries working together in unison to 18 volts, and that keeps the voltage and torque steady right to the finish. So you don't notice any difference between efficiency and output with these batteries throughout any of the tools in the range, whether you're using a blower, a hedge trimmer, a chainsaw, or a line trimmer. So this next point, which we touched on a little bit earlier, is huge for the Australian market. These batteries now introduce onboard heat management indicators built into the actual display, and they feature the ActiveCool technology, as we touched on earlier, which actively cools the batteries during use, which means reduced risk of overheating and extended battery lifetime. The LEDs also give you LED temperature feedback, letting you know if they're too hot or too cold to operate or charge safely, which is super helpful when you're working through the hot summers here in Oz. These batteries are also IPX4 rated, so they can handle rain, humidity, and the rough conditions that commercial users are going to put these batteries through daily. And with that overall rubberized case design, they're much tougher and more drop resistant than the previous generation. All in all, a far superior battery and a massive improvement over the previous generation, and these were excellent batteries to start with. So let's talk about charging and battery management now. Charging has stepped up the level as well. This charging system that Husqvarna's got now uses the latest technology to ensure that all the batteries are kept at the best optimum conditions throughout their entire lifetime, no matter how many times you charge it until they get to that end of life cycle. So another little bit of kit I haven't got on the table here, unfortunately, is the new 750 watt charger that Husqvarna are bringing out, and that's going to be charging these larger 330 batteries 40% quicker than the current QC500, which is awesome. 40% quicker, that's nearly half the time faster. The CX500 still offers great performance, charging this smaller 220X battery up to 80% in just 20 minutes. So you can definitely operate with that one, and these batteries, no dramas. So overall, really, you're getting less downtime, better uptime, and longer overall battery health. And if you're working here in Australia through the summer like I am, it's worth noting that lithium cells generally across the board have about a 60-degree operating temperature. So if you're running these all day, every day, in the summer here, anywhere in the world where it's hot, be a good idea to sort of rotate through the batteries to keep the temperatures down and give them time to cool down a little bit. If you're just smashing through one battery, charging, smashing, you might run into some issues. So just bear that in mind. It's all about battery management and learning how to use lithium in the field in hotter countries really, and indeed colder climates as well. So whilst I'm here, I want to talk about this. This is the BLI 550X, which isn't a new battery, but this is one of Husqvarna's larger batteries. This is the 15.6 amp hour battery, and this is a great design. Weighs about, I can't remember how much it weighs, I'll put it up on the screen, but it's not super heavy, and I use this in the backpack blower, which you can see here, the 550 IBTX. Just slots in there and gives you a great bit of runtime. This could be charged up using any of these as well. So you just get the adapter, which is somewhere over on the shelf there. Can't be bothered to get it, but you plug the adapter into here, and then this lead plugs into the battery. It's super simple. Again, same with this as well. So you can charge up your bigger batteries using this newer generation technology, and the overnight charging rails as well, if you need to. So you get all the versatility you could need really with this system. So as we start to wrap up this video, I think it's a good idea to talk about sustainability with Husqvarna and how they approach things, and the longevity and life cycle of these things, because they do have a life cycle, and what happens at the end of them. It's important to know that you can recycle these batteries. So at the end of the life cycle, when they're finished, and they've only been around for a little while now, so if you bought these BLI 300s at the very first came out, you might be reaching the end of that first life cycle, which is something new and no one's really got to yet because they haven't been around long enough. So it's worth noting that these are fully recyclable. All these batteries are fully recyclable. Husqvarna works with the B-Cycle program, which is part of the Australian Battery Stewardship Scheme. It's a bit of a mouthful. And many dealers offer drop-off points for these, so you can just go into your dealer and drop the batteries off, and then they get picked up by that scheme and recycled as much as possible. And indeed, when these batteries are being made, the manufacturing process, sustainability and resource management is built into Husqvarna's development process, from how materials like lithium and cobalt are sourced to how the batteries are actually assembled. So it's safe to say that these batteries are created, manufactured and recycled as best as currently possible in today's world. So let's also talk about now the balance and user feel of these newer generation batteries compared to the old ones in some of the tools. So we'll just grab the hedger as an example. This is the 522 75, so this is the larger 75 centimeter hedger, and obviously these are very, very similar in terms of weight, in fact more or less identical in terms of weight and design, so you're not going to notice a difference really in terms of balance, ergonomics, or general kind of feel, but you will notice a difference in power, runtime and overall performance. So if we pop this in here, you'll see it goes straight in and clips into place super easy. Let's pull it out again using these new clips. Look at that, straight out. Let's compare that to the older style one. And I've got a whole heap of these, and some of them are better than others, so let's see what this one does. You get it into there. See? Bit more effort, just a bit more effort to get it in. Let's get it out again. Yeah, not too bad that one. Let's try one of the other ones. Because there is a point that I do hear people make quite a lot, is that sometimes they can get a bit annoying to get in and out. Let's try this one. Yeah, see that one gets to that bit there, and you gotta give it some, I'll make sure you've had your Weetabix in the morning. So let's see if we can get that one out. Yeah, so it comes out, but it's not as smooth. Let's try the new one. Straight in, easy, love it. Let's take that one out. Comes out about the same, that one. Let's try the smaller. This is what I'd recommend in the hedges, the 220X. That's perfect, easy. Great balance on that, look at that, perfect. So I'd highly recommend the 220X in the hedges. This one and like the pole hedger as well. Works great in there. Let's see how it goes in this one. Look, one-handed. Straight in, no problem. Look how cool it looks in there as well with the orange. I love it. I know it's a small aesthetic thing, but having your tools look bloody epic is super cool. Take it out one-handed. Look at that, easy. In, just slides in, slides out. I love it. And that's across the board with all the tools. So that's a massive difference really. That is a massive difference. Let's try the older style 300. Yeah. Just not quite as easy. And when you're doing that several times every day, all day, every day, like all year, it makes a difference. Just having the overall overall better performance across the board. Just makes all the difference. So yeah, stoked with that. But we were talking about balance and performance, weren't we? So yeah, as I said, the 220 is perfect in the hedges, works great. And don't forget as well, you've got a super clear battery indicator now, which shines up way brighter than the old ones. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but actually that one looks brighter, doesn't it? Than that one. But you've got your battery indicators on all of them, which is great, and they are accurate as well. They, they do actually reflect the actual battery and how charged up it is or how depleted it is. And don't forget, you've also got this new bar underneath here, which I showed you a bit earlier in the video, which gives you much more detail about the current condition of the battery as you're using it, hot, cold, etc, etc. So looking ahead for Husqvarna, this new 36 volt range definitely sets the standard for where Husqvarna is at the moment. For now, I think 36 volt sort of represents the sweet spot between power, runtime, performance, efficiency and compatibility across the range. And as technology evolves, you can expect to see higher run times, bigger capacity, smaller size, faster charging and better efficiency just across the board really. It's only going to get better. So that's a look at Husqvarna's new battery range, smarter, tougher and more efficient than ever. From longer run times to faster charging to advanced cooling and fleet services connectivity, these batteries are built to keep professionals powered up day after day. If you want to see how any of these batteries and tools perform out in the field, check out some of my other videos where I put these to use day in and day out in a commercial environment. So guys, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found that insightful and useful. Super stoked with these new batteries and the general technology direction that Husqvarna is going with all this. Really, really good to see and exciting to move forward and continue working with them. So thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And as always, work smarter, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.